The scientific study of hair, its disorders, and its care is called
Trichology,
which comes from the Greek word and ology. As you will learn, the hair we see is a part of the ligamentary system that protects the head from heat, cold, and injury, and also serves as a source of adornment and an expression of personal style. Hair is an appendage of the skin in the form of a slender thread-like outgrowth of the skin and scalp. It is composed chiefly of fibrous protein called
keratin,
which renders in all horny growths such as nails, claws, and hoofs. Full-grown human hair is divided into two parts, the hair root and the hair shaft. The hair root is the portion of the hair enclosed within a follicle beneath the skin surface. The hair shaft is the hair portion of the hair we see extending above the skin surface. The main structures of the hair root are the
follicle, bulb, dermal, papilla, sebaceous glands,
and
erector pili muscle.
The hair follicle is a tube-like depression or pocket in the skin or scalp that contains the hair root. The hair follicles are distributed all over the body, with the exception of the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. The follicle extends downward from the epidermis into the dermis, where it surrounds the dermal papilla. Follicles vary in depth, depending on the thickness and location of the skin. Sometimes more than one hair will grow from a single follicle. The funnel-shaped mouths of the hair follicles make this area breeding places for germs and accumulation of sebum and dirt. Proper shampooing and rinsing procedures help to minimize the occurrence of scalp and hair disorders caused by germs and dirt. The hair bulb is club-shaped structure that forms the lower part of the hair root and is the lowest part of the hair strand. The lower part of the hair bulb is hollow and covers the dermal papilla. The dermal papilla is a small cone-shaped elevation at the base of the hair follicle that fits into the hair bulb. The dermal papilla contains the blood and nerve supply that provides the nutrients needed for hair growth. Because of that, some people refer to the dermal papilla as the mother of the hair. The subcutaneous glands consist of small sac-like structures with ducts that are attached to each hair follicle. They secrete an oil substance called sebum and lubricates the skin. Some of the factors that influence sebum production and subject to personal control. These factors are diet, blood circulations, emotional disturbance, stimulation of the endocrine glands, and certain drugs. Diet influences the general health of the hair. Overindulgence in sweets, starchy, and fatty foods may cause subcutaneous glands to become overactive and to secrete too much sebum, which can cause an oily scalp condition. Blood circulation is a factor because the hair and scalp derive their nourishments from the blood supplied to them. In turn, proper blood supply depends upon the nutrients derived from the food eaten. Emotional disturbances are linked to the health of the hair through the nervous system. The hair's condition is affected by stress. Endocrine glands are ductless glands. Their sections go directly into the bloodstream, which in turn influence the welfare of the entire body. The condition of the endocrine gland influences their secretion. During adolescence, endocrine glands are very active. After middle age, their activity usually decreases. Endocrine glands disturbances influences the hair as well as other aspects of health. Medication such as hormones may adversely affect the hair. The erector pili is a minute involuntary muscle fiber in the skin attached to the base of the hair follicle. Strong emotion or cold causes it to contract, which makes the hair strand stand straight up, resulting in goosebumps. The three main layers of the hair shafts are the cuticle, cortex, and the medulla. The hair
Cuticle.
is the outermost layer of the hair. It consists of a single overlapping layer of transparent, scale-like cells that look like shingles on a roof. The cuticle layer provides a barrier that protects the inner structure of the hair as it lies tightly against the cortex. These scales can be felt by holding a strand of hair between the thumb and forefinger of one hand while moving the thumb and fingers of the other hand down the hair strands from its end to the scalp. The hair feels rough when you move from its end to the scalp because you are going against the cuticle layer. A healthy compact cuticle layer is the hair's primarily defense against damage and protects the inner structure of the hair. It is also responsible for the shine and silkiness of the hair. Conversely, heat and certain chemical solutions can raise the scales of the cuticle layer to allow penetration and absorption of substances into the cortex. A cross-section of hair shows although the cuticle scales overlap, each individual cuticle scale is attached to the cortex, thereby creating only one cuticle layer. Swelling the hair with high pH products such as oxidation tints, permanent waving solutions, or chemical hair relaxing raises the cuticle layer and opens the space between the scales, allowing liquids to penetrate into the cortex. The
Cortex
is the middle layer of the hair. It is a fibrous protein core formed by aligning cells that contain melanin pigment. About 90% of the total weight of the hair comes from the cortex. Its unique protein structure provides strength, elasticity, and natural color to the hair. The changes that take place in the hair during chemical services occur within the cortex. The
Medulla
is the innermost layer of the hair and is composed of round cells. Although mature male beard hair contains a medulla, this layer of the hair may be absent and very fine and naturally blonde. Hair is composed of protein that grows from hair cells that originate within hair follicle. This is where the hair shafts begin. When these living cells form, they begin a journey upward through the follicle, where they mature through a process called
KERATINIZATION.
As the newly formed cells mature, they fill up with a fibrous protein called keratin, move upward, lose their nucleus, and die. By the time the hair shaft emerges from the scalp, the cells are completely characterized and no longer living. The hair shaft that we see is non-living fiber, composed of keratinized protein. Human hair is approximately 90% protein. Protein is made up of chemical units called
amino acids.
and amino acids are made of elements. The essential elements in a human hair are carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur, often referred to as the cons elements. These elements are also found in the skin and nails. Proteins are made up of along chains of amino acids. These amino acids are joined end to end and defined order by chemical bonds known as
Peptides.
bonds or M bonds. A long chain of amino acids linked by peptide bonds is called a polypeptide chain
Protein.
are long coil complex polypeptides made of amino acids. The spiral shape of a coil protein is called a
Helix.
which is created when a polypeptide chain entwine with each other. Within the hair cortex, a more complex structure is formed when millions of polypeptide chains are cross-linked by bonds. To form a letter-like structure, side bonds are of three types, consisting of hydrogen, salt, and disulfide bonds, which account for the strength and elasticity of the hair. These bonds play a critical role in the blow drying, wet setting, thermal styling, and chemical processes. Summarizes the properties of the types of bonds found within the protein structures of hair. A
Hydrogen bond.
is a weak physical cross-linked side bond that is easily broken by water or heat. Although individual hydrogen bonds are weak, they are so numerous in the hair that they account for about 1/3 of the hair's overall strength. Hydrogen bonds are broken when hair gets wet, which allows the hair to be stretched. The hydrogen bond reforms when the hair dries, which explains why blow drying techniques work when the barber works with a comb or brush to style the hair into place while drying. A bond is a weak physical side bond which cross-links the polypeptide chains but reacts to changes in pHs. Salt bonds depend on pH and are easily broken by strong acid or alkaline solutions. Although weak, salt bonds are numerous and account for another 1/3 of the hair's total strength. A
disulfide
bond is also known as a sulfur bond. It is a strong covalent bond that is different from the physical side bond of the hydrogen or salt bonds. Disulfur bonds join the sulfur atoms of two neighboring
Cysteine.
amino acids to create one cysteine. The cysteine joins together to polypeptide strands. Although there are fewer disulfur bonds in the hair, they are stronger than hydrogen or salt bonds and account for the final third of the hair's total strength. Unlike hydrogen and salt bonds, disulfur bonds are not broken by heat or water. They are broken by permanent waves and chemical relaxers that alter the shape of hair. Normal amounts of heat, such as those used for normal thermal styling, do not break disulfur bonds. However, extremely high heat, such as the form of a very hot flat iron, can break the disulfur bond.
Thioglycolate.
Permanent waves break disulfur bonds, which are then reformed with neutralizers. Hydroxide chemical hair relaxers can break disulfur bonds, which are then converted to
anthionine
bonds when the relaxer is rinsed from the hair. Disulfur bonds broken by hydroxide relaxers are permanently broken and cannot be reformed. The more disulfur bonds in the hair, the more resistant it will be to chemical processes. Natural hair color is the result of melanin pigments found in the cortex. Melanin are the tiny grains of pigments in the cortex that gives natural color to the hair. These two types of melanin
Eumelanin.
provides brown and black color to hair.
Pheomelanin.
Provides natural hair colors that range from red and ginger to yellow and light blonde tones. All natural colors is dependent on the ratio of the eumelanin to pheomelanin, along with the total number and size of the pigment granules. Gray hair contains only a few scattered melanin granules and white hair contains no melanin. The wave pattern of hair refers to the shape of the hair strands and is described as straight, wavy, curly, and extremely curly. Natural wave patterns are the result of genetics. Although there are many exceptions, as a general rule, Asians and Native Americans tend to have extremely straight hair. Caucasians tend to have straight, wavy, or curly hair, and African Americans tend to have extremely curly hair. But straight, wavy, curly, and extremely curly hairs occurs in all races. Anyone of any race or mixed race can have hair with varying degrees of curl, from straight to extremely curly. The wave pattern may also vary from strand to strand on the same person's head. It is not uncommon for an individual to have different amounts of curl in different areas of the head. Individuals with curly hair often have straighter hair in the crown and tighter curls in other areas. Several theories attempt to explain the cause of natural curly hair, but there is no single defined answer that explains why some hair grows straight and others' hair grows curly. The most popular theory claims that the shape of the hair's cross sections determines the amount of curl. This theory claims that hair with a round cross section is straight, hair with an oval to flattened over cross section is wavy or curly, and hair with a flattened to flattened oval cross section is extremely curly. Extremely curly hair grows in long, twisted spirals. Cross sections appear flattened and vary in shape and thickness along their length, compared to straight or wavy hair, which tends to possess a fairly regular and uniform diameter along the single strand. Extremely curly hair is of fairly irregular thickness, showing varied diameters along a single strand. Some extremely curly hair have natural tendency to form a coil-like telephone cord. Coiled hair usually has a fine texture, with many individual strands winding together to form the coil locks. Extremely curly hair often has low elasticity, breaks easily, and has a tendency to knot, especially on the ends. Gentle scalp manipulations, conditioning shampoo, and detangling rinse help minimize tangles. The two main types of hair are vellus hair and terminal hair.
Vellus.
Hair is the short, fine, unpigmented, downy hair. It almost never has medulla or melanin and helps in the effect of evaporation or preparation. In adults, vellus hair is found in places normally considered hairless: forehead, eyelids, and bald scalp.
Terminal.
It's the long, coarse hair found on the scalp, legs, arms, and bodies of males and females. Hormonal changes during puberty causes some areas of fine vellus hair to be replaced with thicker terminal hair. All hair follicles are capable of producing either vellus or terminal hair. Depending on genetics, age, and hormones, and occurrences of male pattern baldness, the follicle will stop making terminal hair and revert back to producing the vellus type. The average hair growth rate, healthy hair on the scalp, is about ½ inch per month. The rate of the growth will differ over specific parts of the body, between sexes, among races, and with age. The growth rate hair occurs more rapidly between the ages of 15 and 30 and declines sharply between 50 and 60. Hair growth is also influenced by such factors as the season of the year, nutrients, and hormonal changes within the body. In normal, healthy hair growth occurs in cycles. Each complete cycle has 3 phases that are repeated over and over throughout life. These 3 phases are known as
Anagen.
Catagen.
Telogen, also telogen.
phases. During the anagen phases or growth phases, new hair is perceived. new cells are manufactured in the hair follicle. During this phase, hair cells are produced faster than any other normal cell in the body. About 90% of scalp hair is in the anagen phase, that is, growing at any given time. The anagen phase generally lasts from 3 to 5 years, but can last as long as 10 years. The anagen phase determines how long the hair will grow before shedding. Therefore, the longer the anagen phase is, the longer the hair can grow. This explains why people can grow their hair to extremely long lengths and others cannot. The catagen phase is a transition period between the growth and resting phases of the hair strands. During the catagen phase, the follicles shrink, the hair bulbs disappear, and the shrunken root forms a rounded club. The catagen phase lasts from 1 to 2 weeks. Less than 1% of the hair is in the catagen phase at any given time. The telogen phase, or resting phase, is the final phase of the hair growth cycle. The hair either sheds during this phase or remains in the place until it is pushed out by the growth of the new hair in the next anagen phase. Less than 10% of the scalp hair is in the telogen phase at any given time. The telogen phase lasts for approximately 3 to 6 months or until the hair is shed. As soon as the telogen phase ends, new hair in the anagen phase begins the cycle again. On average, the entire growth process repeats itself once every 4 to 5 years. Hair growth is not increased by shaving, trimming, cutting, or the application of oils. Hair growth is also not stimulated by scalp massages, although it does increase blood flow and relaxes the nerves of the scalp.
Minoxidil. Steroid.
Are the only two treatments that have been scientifically proven to increase hair growth and are approved for the purpose by the Food and Drug Administration. Products that claim to increase hair growth are regulated as drugs and are not cosmetic. It is normal to lose an average of 75 to 100 hairs per day. This shedding process makes room for new hair that is in the process of growing. Hair loss beyond this estimated average indicates some problem. Eyebrow hairs and eyelashes are replaced every 4 to 5 months. It is important when cutting and styling hair to consider the hair's natural growth patterns. Doing so will produce a more natural looking haircut and a style that the client will have less trouble duplicating for everyday wear. Growth patterns that result in creating hair streams and cowlicks are determined by the angle at which the hair emerges from the hair follicle. A hair stream is a hair that flows in the same direction. It is the result of follicles being arranged and slopping in a uniform manner. When two streams slope in opposite directions, they form a natural part in the hair. A
Whorl.
is hair that grows in a circular or swirl pattern. Whorls are more often seen at the crown. A
Cowlick.
is a tuft of hair that stands straight up. Cowlicks are usually more noticeable at the front hairline, but they may be located anywhere on the scalp. Style should be chosen to minimize the upright effect of cowlicks. As a barber, you may hear opinions about hair growth from your clients or other professionals. Here are some myths and facts about hair growth. Myth: shaving, clipping, and cutting the hair on the head makes it grow back faster, darker, and coarser. Fact: although it may seem to grow back faster, darker, and coarser, shaving or cutting the hair on the head has no effect on hair growth. When hair is blunt cut to the same length, it will grow back more eventually. Myth: Scalp massages increases hair growth. Fact. Scalp massages are very stimulating to the scalp and can increase blood circulation, relax the nerves in the scalp, and tighten the scalp muscles. However, it may not be scientifically proved that any type of stimulation or scalp massages increases hair growth. Myth. Gray hair is coarser and more resistant than pigmented hair. Fact. Other than the lack of pigment, gray hair is exactly the same as pigmented hair. Although gray hair may be resistant, it is not resistant simply because it is gray. Pigmented hair on the same person's head is just resistant as the gray hair. Gray hair is simply more noticeable than pigmented hair. Myth. The amount of natural curl is always determined by racial background. Fact. Anyone of any race or mixed race can have hair from straight to extremely curly. It is also true that within races, individuals have hair with varied degrees of curl in different areas of the head. We all lose some hair every day as a result of normal head shedding that takes place during the hair's natural growth and replacement cycle. A hair that is shed in the telogen phase is replaced with new hair in that same follicle in the next anagen phase. This natural shedding of hair accounts for normal daily hair loss, which averages 75 to 100 hairs per day. Although the medical community does not always recognize hair loss as a medical condition, the anguish felt by those who suffer abnormal hair loss is very real and often overlooked. Results from a study that investigated perceptions of bald and balding men showed that compared to men with hair, bald men were perceived as less physically attractive, less assertive, less successful, less personally likable, older than their actual age. Over 63 million men and women in the United States suffer from abnormal hair loss. As a professional barber, it is likely that you will be the first person that a hair loss sufferance confines in. So it is important that you have basic understanding of the different types of hair loss and the services that are available. Abnormal hair loss is called
alopecia.
Understandably, hair loss for either sex can be a traumatic experience, so conversations about it should be handled tactfully. Alopecia may appear in different forms as a result of a variety of abnormal conditions.
Androgenic alopecia
Is hair loss that occurs as a result of genetics, age, and hormone changes that causes the mineralization of terminal hair, converting it to vellus hair. Androgenic alopecia can begin as early in the teens. Alopecia premature and is frequently seen by the age of 40. Almost 40% of men and women show some degree of hair loss by age 35. In men, androgenic alopecia is known as male pattern baldness.
alopecia areata or areata
Is an autoimmune disorder that causes the affected hair follicles to be mistakenly attacked by the person's own immune system, which stop hair growth at the anagen phase. It is characterized by the sudden falling out of hair in the round patches, which creates bald spots and can progress to total scalp hair loss, known as
alopecia totalis,
or complete body hair loss, called
alopecia universalis.
It is highly unpredictable skin disease that may occur on the scalp and elsewhere on the body. Clients who exhibit symptoms of alopecia areata should be referred to a physician.
Alopecia senilis
is the normal loss of hair, scalp, occurring in old age and is permanent. Alopecia syphilis is caused by syphilis. The non-inflamed bald areas look molted or moth-eaten, and the disease may also affect the beard and eyebrow areas. The hair usually grows back once the disease is cured.